The massive alien warship hung in space like a metal mountain. Its hull gleamed with purple energy shields that had never been broken. Inside the command bridge, Commander Vex stood tall, his forearms crossed over his chest. His species, the Dominion, had conquered 1,000 worlds. They had never lost a battle. "Commander, the human fleet approaches," said his lieutenant Cora. Her voice carried amusement. "They're positioning their ships in attack formation." Vex laughed. It was a harsh sound that echoed through the bridge. "Attack formation? Those primitive creatures dare to challenge us?" He turned to face the main viewing screen. 5 human battleships appeared, looking tiny compared to the Dominion armada of 50 vessels. "Sir, they're powering up their weapons," reported another officer, saying. "Our scanners show. Projectile cannons?" He couldn't hide his disbelief. The bridge erupted in laughter. Every Dominion officer found it hilarious. Projectile weapons? In space combat? The Dominion had been using energy beams and plasma torpedoes for centuries. Their shields could stop asteroids traveling at incredible speeds. Projectile cannons. Vex repeated, wiping tears from his 6 eyes. "What will they throw at us next? Rocks? Sticks?" He activated the communication system. "Connect me to their leader. I want to give them one chance to surrender before we destroy them for entertainment." The screen flickered. A human face appeared. Admiral Tom Baker, a man with gray hair and steady eyes. He wore a simple black uniform, nothing like the elaborate armor of the Dominion. "Human Admiral," Vex began, his voice dripping with superiority. "I am Commander Vex of the Dominion Empire. You face 50 of our finest warships. Your 5 little boats with their ancient cannons are nothing to us. Surrender now, and we might let some of you live as servants." Admiral Baker's expression didn't change. "Commander Vex, I'll make you the same offer. Leave human space now, and we won't have to demonstrate why Earth children learn about something called David and Goliath." The bridge laughed even harder. "You threaten us? With cannons that fire metal balls?" Vex couldn't contain his amusement. "Our shields have stopped radiation storms, antimatter missiles, and black hole bombs. Your primitive weapons are museum pieces." "These aren't just cannons, Commander," Baker said calmly. "But you're right about one thing. They do fire projectiles. Fire your toy guns, human. Show my crew some entertainment before we glass your planets." Vex cut the communication. He turned to his crew. "Don't even raise shields to full power. Let's see if their metal balls can scratch our paint." The Dominion fleet moved forward, their formation lazy and overconfident. Why waste energy on proper battle positions against such weak enemies? The human ships seemed to be doing something strange. Their cannons were glowing with an odd blue light. "Sir, unusual energy readings from their weapons," Cora reported, but she was still smiling. "Maybe they put lights on their cannons to make them look scarier?" "Perhaps they think we're afraid of the dark," Zane joked. The human ships spread out in a wide arc. Their movements were precise, calculated. Admiral Baker's ship, the UES Hammer, took center position. The cannons on all 5 ships began to rotate, aiming at specific points on the Dominion vessels. "They're actually going to fire," someone shouted from the scanner station, laughing. "This is precious. Make sure we record this for the Empire's comedy archives." Vex sat in his command chair, completely relaxed. "When their little metal balls bounce off our shields, we'll collect them as souvenirs. Then we'll show these humans what real weapons look like." The space between the 2 fleets seemed to hold its breath. The Dominion ships floated arrogantly, their crews making bets on how many cannonballs the humans would fire before giving up. Some officers were already planning which human cities they would claim after the conquest, but Admiral Baker wasn't sweating. His crew wasn't panicking. They had spent years preparing for this moment. Earth scientists had studied every alien battle, learned every weakness. And they had built something special. "Sir, they're firing." Cora announced that the first phase of humanity's surprise was about to begin. Asterisk. The cannons fired, but these weren't ordinary projectiles. Each shot was a compressed tungsten rod, surrounded by a magnetic field that accelerated it to 20% the speed of light. The humans had studied Dominion shield technology for years. They knew energy shields were designed to stop energy weapons and slow-moving mass. But something moving at relativistic speeds with minimal energy signature? That was different. The first rod hit the Dominion cruiser Eternal Pride. The shields, calibrated for plasma and laser weapons, tried to adapt. But the rod was already through, moving so fast that by the time the shield registered the impact, the projectile had punched through the hull and out the other side. The cruiser split in half, like it was made of paper. On Vex's bridge, the laughter died instantly. What? What just happened? Cora stammered, her purple skin turning pale. "Shields up." "Full power." Vex roared, jumping from his chair. But it was too late. The human cannons were already firing their second volley. 5 more Dominion ships exploded. The tungsten rods didn't just pierce them. The kinetic energy turned everything they touched into plasma. Ships that had survived Nova explosions were being torn apart like tissue paper. "Return fire." Vex screamed. "All weapons." The Dominion fleet unleashed their arsenal. Plasma beams, antimatter torpedoes, gravity bombs, everything they had. But the human ships were already moving. Their smaller size made them agile, and they had been practicing for this exact scenario. They scattered in perfect synchronization, most of the Dominion weapons missing entirely. Admiral Baker's voice crackled over the communication system. "You asked what we'd throw at you, Commander. The answer is simple. Rocks. Very fast rocks." The human cannons never stopped firing. Every 3 seconds, another volley. The Dominion's proud fleet, ships that had conquered civilizations, were being shredded. Their shields meant nothing. Their armor meant nothing. The tungsten rods moved too fast to stop. How? Zane gasped, watching another cruiser explode. Their technology is primitive. They still use chemical rockets. But that was the Dominion's mistake. They had assumed primitive meant weak. They never considered that humans might take simple concepts and perfect them. A rock thrown fast enough becomes more dangerous than any energy weapon. "Evasive maneuvers," Vex ordered, but the bridge shook violently. A rod had grazed their flagship, tearing off a section of the hull. Atmosphere vented into space, taking several crew members with it. Emergency lights bathed the bridge in red. Vex could hear the ship's automated systems listing damage reports. Half their weapons were offline. Engines operating at 30%. Life support failing on multiple decks. "Sir, we've lost 20 ships." Cora's voice cracked with fear. They're destroying us." The human fleet pressed forward. Their cannons had cooled down and were firing even faster now. The space between the fleets was filled with relativistic death, tungsten rods creating a curtain of destruction that no Dominion ship could pass through. "Call for reinforcements." Vex commanded. "I can't. They're jamming our long-range communications." Zane's tentacles trembled as he worked his console. "It's not even sophisticated jamming. They're just flooding all frequencies with something they call death metal music." Another explosion rocked the flagship. This time, a rod had taken out their main reactor. The lights flickered and died, replaced by dim emergency power. Through the viewscreen, Vex could see his mighty fleet being picked apart. Ships that had made entire species kneel were now floating debris. Admiral Baker appeared on screen again, his expression still calm. "You have 1 minute to surrender, Commander. After that, we stop aiming for your weapons and engines." Vex's 4 hands clenched into fists. The Dominion never surrendered. They were the conquerors, the superior race. But as he watched another 3 ships explode into clouds of superheated gas, he realized the truth. The humans hadn't built advanced weapons. They had built perfect ones. Sir? Cora looked at him, waiting for orders. Around them, the bridge crew was silent. They could hear the distant sounds of hull breaches, the ship literally falling apart around them. That 30 Dominion ships remained out of 50. In less than 5 minutes, the humans had cut their fleet nearly in half. And they showed no signs of stopping. The cannons kept firing, each shot precisely aimed, each impact devastating. The empire that had never lost was about to learn what defeat meant. Asterisk. Sir, the humans are broadcasting something, Zane announced, his voice shaking. On the main screen, a young human woman appeared, wearing a white coat over her military uniform. Greetings, Dominion Fleet. I'm Dr. Lisa Park, Earth Defense Science Division. She smiled pleasantly, as if giving a lecture. You seemed confused about our weapons, so I thought I'd explain while you're being destroyed. Another Dominion ship exploded in the background, emphasizing her words. You see, Dr. Park continued, your shields are marvels of engineering. They can stop energy weapons by dispersing the beam. They can stop slow projectiles by creating a repulsion field. But we noticed something interesting in your battle records. You've never faced kinetic weapons at relativistic speeds. Vex wanted to cut the transmission, but found himself listening. Around him, his bridge crew watched in horrified fascination as 3 more ships vanished in clouds of fire. E equals mc squared, Dr. Park said simply. Mass times the speed of light squared. When we fire a tungsten rod at 20% light speed, it carries more kinetic energy than your antimatter warheads. But here's the clever part. It has almost no energy signature while in flight. It's just a piece of metal moving very, very fast. The flagship shuddered. Another near miss had torn off their communication array. Your shields need time to adapt, Dr. Park explained, adjusting her glasses. Microseconds, but still time. At relativistic speeds, our rods pass through your shield barrier before it can recalibrate. It's not that we're more advanced. We just found the one thing you never defended against. Cut the transmission. Vex roared, but Zane shook his head. I can't, sir. They've overridden our systems. Dr. Park continued cheerfully. We call them relativistic kill vehicles, or RKVs. Fancy name for throwing rocks really fast. The tungsten is just for density. Any heavy material would work. We've been launching them from those primitive cannons you laughed at. 25 Dominion ships left. The human fleet hadn't lost a single vessel. Oh, and Commander Vex? Dr. Park's smile widened. We've been holding back. Those rods? We're only firing them at 20% of light speed. Our cannons can reach 40%, but we wanted to give you a chance to surrender. The bridge went cold. If the humans could fire faster. Admiral Baker insisted on mercy, Dr. Park said. Personally, after what your empire did to the Centauri colonies, I voted for maximum velocity. But humans tried to be better than our enemies. Another explosion. The Dominion destroyer Infinite Wrath became an expanding cloud of debris. The humans were targeting the largest ships first, removing the biggest threats methodically. Surrender, Vex whispered. The word felt like poison in his mouth. The Dominion had never surrendered in their 1,000-year history. Sir? Cora looked at him with desperate hope. We can't. Zane protested. The Empire will. The Empire will have no fleet if we don't. Vex snapped back. He watched another ship die. 23 left. Dr. Park checked something off screen. 30 seconds remaining on Admiral Baker's offer, Commander. After that, we switched to maximum velocity shots. At 40% light speed, the rods won't just pierce your ships, they'll turn them into miniature suns. The energy release will chain react through your fleet. The human cannons stopped firing. The sudden silence was more terrifying than the explosions had been. They were waiting. Giving him a choice, Vex looked around his bridge. His crew, the proud warriors of the Dominion, looked terrified. These were soldiers who had faced death before, but not like this. Not against an enemy that turned the laws of physics into weapons. "Sir, incoming message from the surviving ships," Cora reported. They're asking for orders. Captain Tor says his ship has 10 minutes of life support left. Captain Drell reports complete engine failure. They want to know if they should surrender. The question hung unspoken in the air, got 23 ships out of 50. More than half their fleet gone in under 10 minutes. And the humans claimed they were holding back. The humans evolved on a high-gravity world, Dr. Park mentioned casually. We've been throwing rocks at each other for millions of years. We just got better at it. Vex thought of the Empire's colonies. The billions of Dominion citizens on hundreds of worlds. If Earth had more of these weapons. 10 seconds, Dr. Park announced. The choice was simple. Pride or survival. Asterisk, we surrender. The words left Vex's mouth like a physical blow. Around him, the bridge fell silent. In the Dominion's 1,000-year history, those words had never been spoken by one of their commanders. Dr. Park nodded on the screen. Smart choice, Commander. Admiral Baker, they've accepted terms. Admiral Baker appeared, replacing the scientist. His expression was serious, but not cruel. Commander Vex, power down all weapons and shields. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in the immediate destruction of your remaining fleet. Understood, Vex managed to say. His throat felt dry. All ships, this is Commander Vex. Power down weapons and shields. Prepare for human boarding parties. The responses came in slowly, each captain's voice heavy with disbelief and shame. But they obeyed. One by one, the mighty Dominion warships went dark, their weapons powering down, their shields dropping. "Sir," Cora whispered, "the Empire will execute us for this. The Empire will need us alive to learn about these weapons," Vex replied quietly. "We're the only ones who faced them and survived." Small human craft launched from their 5 battleships. Vex had expected boarding pods or assault shuttles. Instead, these were simple transports, barely armed. The humans were that confident in their victory. Within minutes, human soldiers were on every Dominion ship. They were professional, not cruel. They secured weapons, took command codes, but didn't humiliate the defeated crews. Vex noticed something odd. Many of the human soldiers looked almost disappointed. A shuttle docked with Vex's flagship. Minutes later, Admiral Baker himself walked onto the bridge, accompanied by only 4 guards. He was smaller than any Dominion warrior, this human leader, but he had just defeated the Empire's finest fleet. "Commander Vex," Baker said, offering a small nod of respect. "Thank you for choosing wisdom over pride. You saved many lives today, both human and Dominion. How?" Vex couldn't help but ask. "How did your species develop such weapons while appearing so primitive?" Baker almost smiled. "We're not primitive, Commander. We just developed differently. Your Empire focused on energy manipulation, exotic particles, complex physics. We focused on simple physics done perfectly. A rock is primitive. A rock at 40% light speed is a weapon of mass destruction. But your ships, your technology, is exactly as advanced as it needs to be," Baker finished. "We spent our resources on what worked, not what looked impressive. Those cannons? Each one cost less than one of your shield generators. But they work." Dr. Park entered the bridge, carrying a tablet. "Commander, we've completed our scan of your fleet's databases. Interesting reading. 300 inhabited systems under Dominion control. 200 species enslaved." She looked up. "That's going to change." Vex's 4 hands clenched. "You plan to conquer the Empire?" "No," Baker said simply. "We plan to free it. Every species under your control will be offered independence. The Dominion will be reduced to your original home system. You can keep your culture, your government, but your empire ends today." "The Dominion will never accept." "The Dominion has no choice," Baker interrupted calmly. "We're sending 1 ship to your homeworld with our terms. If they refuse, we have 10,000 RKV cannons ready to fire. Not at 20% light speed. At 40, the number hit Vex like a physical blow. 10,000? The humans had 10,000 of these weapons. We've been preparing for 60 years, Dr. Park explained. Ever since your empire destroyed the Centauri colony. 3 million humans dead in minutes. We knew you'd come for Earth eventually. So we got ready. Every human colony, every moon base, even our asteroid miners, they all have RKV cannons now," Baker added. "We turned our entire civilization into a weapon, Commander, because we knew what you were." Vex slumped in his command chair. The Empire had mocked humans for decades, called them weak, primitive, barely worth conquering. But the humans had been watching, learning, preparing. They had taken the Empire's arrogance and turned it into a trap. "Your crew will be treated well," Baker assured him. "Once your Empire accepts our terms, you'll be returned home. You'll be remembered as the commander wise enough to surrender when faced with superior firepower. That's more honor than most would have shown." Through the view screen, Vex could see human ships beginning to salvage the destroyed Dominion vessels. They were studying the technology, learning from it. The primitive species was about to become even more dangerous. The Dominion, Empire's greatest fleet, had been defeated by rocks and human ingenuity. Asterisk. 3 days later, Vex stood in the conference room of Admiral Baker's flagship. Through the large window, he could see the remains of his fleet being escorted to Earth's orbital station. Human mechanics were already studying the Dominion technology, learning from it, improving their own systems. "Your homeworld has accepted our terms," Baker announced, entering the room with Dr. Park and several other human officers. "The Dominion Empire officially ended 6 hours ago." Vex felt the weight of those words. 1,000 years of conquest ended by 5 small ships with primitive-looking weapons. "How did you know?" Vex asked. "How did you know our shields couldn't stop your weapons?" Dr. Park pulled up a holographic display. "We didn't at first, but we studied every battle record we could find. Your empire was kind enough to broadcast your victories across the galaxy. We noticed that in 50,000 recorded battles, you never faced simple kinetic weapons at extreme velocities." She showed footage of various Dominion victories. "You always fought enemies who tried to match your technology. Bigger shields, stronger energy weapons, more exotic particles. They played your game, by your rules." "So you made different rules," Vex understood. "The first rule of human warfare," Baker said. "Never fight fair. If your enemy has better shields, don't try to build better weapons. Build weapons that ignore shields. If they have bigger ships, make smaller, faster ones. Find what they're not defending against." A communication screen activated. The image showed the Dominion homeworld, and Vex gasped. Surrounding the planet were thousands of human ships. Not warships, cargo vessels, transports, medical ships. "We're already delivering aid to the former slave worlds," Baker explained. "Medical supplies, food, technology to help them rebuild. The species you conquered are being offered membership in the Human Alliance. Equal partners, not subjects. You planned this for 60 years? Vex still couldn't believe it. Every human child learns about the Centauri massacre, Dr. Park said quietly. 3 million dead. We also learned about every other species you destroyed. We knew that someday you'd come for Earth, so every generation prepared. Scientists worked on weapons. Military trained for this specific battle. Even our civilians contributed, funding, resources, volunteering for colony missions to spread humanity far enough that you couldn't destroy us all. Baker walked to the window, looking out at the stars. Your empire made one crucial mistake, Commander. You thought fear and power were the same thing. But fear only works until someone stands up to you. And humans? We've been standing up to bullies since we came down from the trees. What happens to us now? Vex asked. The Dominion? You rebuild, Baker said simply. Your home system has everything you need. You'll keep your culture, your government, your way of life. But no weapons capable of interstellar travel. No warships. If you want to trade with other species, it will be as equals, not conquerors. And if we refuse? If we try to rebuild our fleet? Dr. Park pulled up another display. It showed Earth's moon, but something was different. The entire surface was covered with structures. Those are RKV platforms, she said quietly. 40,000 of them. Each can fire 10 rounds per minute at 45% light speed. We built them into our moon. If the Dominion ever threatens another species again, we can eliminate your entire system in 12 minutes. Vex stared at the display. The humans hadn't just defeated them. They had made sure the Dominion could never be a threat again. But, Baker added, if you choose peace, if you work with other species instead of conquering them, you'll find humans are much better as friends than enemies. We'll trade with you, share medical technology, help you prosper. The choice is yours. A younger human officer entered. Admiral, the last Dominion ship has been secured. All crew members accounted for and safe. Thank you, Captain Miller. Baker nodded. He turned back to Vex. Your transport to the homeworld leaves in 1 hour. You'll carry our full terms and a communication device. If your government has questions, they can contact us directly. As Vex was escorted out, he turned for one last question. Why show mercy? After what we did? Baker's expression was thoughtful. Because mercy is what separates us from empires like yours. We could destroy you, but we choose not to. That choice, Commander, is what makes us human. Walking to the transport, Vex saw human and former slave species working together, already building something new. The galaxy's most feared empire had fallen to the species they'd mocked. The age of the Dominion was over. The age of humanity had begun. The end asterisk.